Dr. Ng Oi Leng is a dental specialist together with Pastor Elisha. They are involved with ElShaddai Centre, which is to give hope to the marginalised, to immigrants, to refugees through education. Through education. Dr. Ng, welcome to the seminar. I saw you from morning.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Timothy.
Let me put you on. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this invitation, for allowing me. Indeed, I'm really humbled for the little work that we are doing. But we acknowledge indeed, good afternoon to everyone. We acknowledge indeed famine comes in many forms. And in the last days, I think it will be the famine of the word of God. And on top of that is also the famine of literacy. And we in Malaysia, I think we are very blessed that God in many ways have used this land, given it peace, given it indeed stability, that we are able to host so many different people from different parts of the world in Malaysia. I would like to share screen because I think it speaks clearer and easier.
Please proceed. Your
yes.
co-host here.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. The organization that I am now overseeing is actually ElShaddai Centre Berhad. It is a registered NGO working in partnership with United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, indeed to help refugees and stateless and immigrant children that are in Malaysia. So not just children, but also whole communities. Today, I would like to just share with you about giving hope to the displaced in our land through education. Because we can have no food, to me, I think, we can have very little food, but we cannot have no education. Just have a little look at the situation of refugees in Malaysia. So we have today, UNHCR registered about 180,000 refugees and asylum seekers. And out of them, a large number are actually from Myanmar and about 160,000 from Myanmar. And out of that, about 67% are actually Rohingyas and the rest, okay? But out of all these refugees, about 45,000 are actually below 18 and they are in Malaysia, yes. And as refugees in Malaysia, the current situation is that they are usually viewed as illegal economic migrants or mistakenly. And refugee kids have limited access to affordable healthcare and also no access to public education. And in fact, even their parents have no legal work rights. And so with that, I think they are very limited in their resources. And at the same time, I believe they are also very limited. And I think the one thing that they feel very lost over here, and the greatest fear, in fact, or the greatest anxiety, in fact, it is not also the basic need of food and education or whatever to them. Indeed, it is the uncertainty of their future, where and when. Refugees in Malaysia are actually on transit. They don't really know where and when they will be resettled to another country. And the amount of time that they spend in Malaysia can be very long. A lot of them are more than 7 years, 10 years, 20 years. And we have children with us that are third generations born in Malaysia as a refugee. So, but also, what about the other displaced children in Malaysia? Undocumented ones, and there are also many, though the number, nobody seriously knows how many, but I can really seriously tell you there are just many. Indonesians, Filipinos, Cambodians, Myanmars, and so many others too. And the stateless, so under the United Nations Child Rights Convention that Malaysia acknowledges is that in fact, it is the right of every child to have education, regardless of who they are in this land, regardless of their legal status, regardless of their economic situations and all that. They are supposed to have the right to education. And ElShaddai respond to that by doing our very best with our limited resources to educate as many as possible. And besides education, I think the compassion work under ElShaddai has 4 R's: the rescue work, the relief, which now we step up because of COVID. And so we had shelters, and we have relief work, that food distribution, medicine, financial support, helping them pay with medical bills, interment expenses and things like that at this COVID season. And now we are under recovery. So there's the rehabilitation part where we are helping them through counseling, and also some of them accumulated many debts, cannot pay rent and all that, owing friends, because of that. So there are recovery stages. But our focus has always been on the reforming side, which is education, skill development, social enterprises, so that we can give them long-term help, which we deem is more important. Yeah, the ElShaddai Refugee Learning Centre actually provides formal education from pre-primary to secondary IGCSE to post-high school online diploma courses also. And the total number of students that we cover today are, besides in our main center in Klang, but throughout also other parts of Malaysia, including Sabah, is about 1,600 students. But due to this COVID season, so we were able to discover the power of online classes. And so we have 33 online classes covering about 158 students, mainly youth, and who have the interest to learn English. So these are online English classes. This is our school in main center in Klang, before COVID. Yeah, so we actually have, before COVID, they have this kind of assembly and all that. But today, of course, we had to follow all that SOPs. In the main school, we have about 700 over students. And the blue one is actually the graduation of our year 6 students to secondary school. And we have a program called the acceleration program, because so many of the children that come to us are overage. They are 10 to 12 years old and hardly can write their name and hardly can read ABC. But we have compressed syllabus from primary to, from 6 years to 4 years, so that they can catch up and go to secondary school. Yeah, and this is our secondary education. At the moment, we have more than 100 students in secondary school, and we take them through the IGCSE because they are not allowed to sit for the Malaysian SPM, and they are also international people, so they will be moving on to other parts. But you see them in Malaysian school uniform because that gives them some security as they travel from home to school and all that. And our IGCSE result for last year, which is our first batch of students, we managed to send 8 of them, and they did pretty well. And this year, because of COVID, we were able to only send about 4 of them will be ready. But next year, the number will keep increasing. But we do hope that we do hope to create a clear pathway for them, that wherever they go later, they will be able to continue their education in other parts. So post IG or post high school education, we offer to them courses online in partnership with eGraduate College. These are courses under the shortage occupation list, where we really hope that the students will be able to find jobs when they graduate overseas to refugee receiving or friendly countries, so that they can get work permits and at the same time hope to resettle in the countries and they have certainty in their future. So these are like health and social care, IT courses, and business management. We do hope that we are able to educate more, but I think tertiary education is pretty expensive. But we thank the Lord. We thank the Lord indeed that many are still able, because there are people who we are working in partnership with so many people who are so willing indeed to educate people from everywhere. These are post-COVID, these are COVID pandemic SOPs that we have to follow in our school. Yeah, and this is one of the sub-centers that is run in Sungai Buloh, but we set up somewhere in the middle of last year, in the midst of the pandemic. It's nice to just really have a short view of what it is. Okay. So we also work in partnership with others in the community when they have some buildings that we can use, like some of the schools that they set up by themselves. We send our teachers in to teach them formal education. These are Rohingya centers. Yeah, and the children there receive education because they are very remote and very difficult for them to come out. And some places we do have night classes before COVID, and adults and children come together. They're just so hungry to learn. This is the time, I believe, famine illiteracy among many people that comes from many different nations. Yeah. We discover, of course, the power of online classes during the COVID season. And so a few people will come on, and then there's teachers from online and also teachers on ground that facilitates and visits them and helps them. And so because it's online, so we are able to teach we are able to have volunteers that come from all over the world, including Singapore, Philippines, even Australia, and others who can be involved in the teaching of these classes. Some online Chinese classes, because refugees also recognize that, you know, learning Chinese is important today, because when they go back to their own country or when they go other places, they know that the power of learning, of knowing Mandarin. Yeah. And this is in Sabah, home-based learning centers and empowering local teachers. So there are so many children that you just cannot accommodate every one of them, but and they are mobile people, they squat in other people's lands. And so we don't want to build any buildings. So wherever we are having school, it will be in their homes. Their homes seriously doesn't have anything, no furniture, no nothing. So when the parents go to work, the homes are empty. And so this is how we use their homes to teach the kids and empower their local teachers by training them so that the teachers are able, you know, when to do the teaching. When locals finds it very difficult to go in and teach them. So our job is to empower their own teachers so that they can teach the kids. Same thing in Sabah. Besides, of course, the formal education, we do have skill training. Aircon is one of them. And of course, we know that they cannot be officially or legally employed after that. So we start businesses as social enterprises and help them to partner with us in this area of business enterprise. Yeah, and today I believe it is our privilege indeed to be able to host nations that are in our land and to be able to stay in our comfort, in the comfort of our homes, and also, you know, reach them and be with them and do something for them. I believe the Lord brought them so that they can be blessed by us. And Psalms 2:8, it says, "Ask me, and I will make the nations your inheritance and the ends of the earth your possession." Today, we know our students have moved all over the world. And some of them is settled in US, in England, in Australia, and some of them are continuing education. We have students who are now doctors and who are in med schools, and they are also in other parts of the field. And we are concerned with those who are here and are born in Malaysia and doesn't have any identity. But we do believe that God put us here and put them here for seasons such as this, and we can be a blessing to them. So thank you. This is my sharing.
Thank you so much. And if there are those who want to contribute as a teacher or what, I'm sure they can connect to ElShaddai.
Yes,
Thank
sure.
you.